Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how a Speedcuber solves this, the Rubik's clock. So let's get right into it. So a couple of disclaimers before I get into this video. Number one, this is not a tutorial app in any way. This is just a kind of a guide, kind of how, Speedcubers guide their solves when solving the Rubik's clock. Number two is that this is not even close to the most advanced method out there to solve the clock. In fact, this is barely more than the beginner's method. But with this method, I average about 9 to 10 seconds, which is, I think, decent. It's not great. The world record average is, I think, sub 3 now, which is insane. But yeah, with those out of the way, let's get into this. So here's the puzzle scrambled, and the first thing we do while solving a clock is we try and solve the cross. Now the cross is very similar to the cross on 3x3, where you solve these 4 pieces. They're like edge pieces, right? So in the very similar pattern, we're trying to solve these central dials. So these are the dials and these are pins. Now what you need to understand is that each pin controls the dials around it. So if this pin is up, that essentially enables the motion of these dials using this gear. I don't know what to call this, like a knob. It just rotates clocks like that. So as you can see, all 4 pins are up. So any one of these, like moving any one of these, there's 4 of them. This moves all the pins, which is not very useful. But if I put just this one up, for example, it's going to move only those. And if I put this one up, it's going to move only those. If I put this one up, and so on. You get the point. So the point of solving the clock, the way you solve the clock is by aligning these pins. Let's make a cross. So the way I'll do this is, for example, I see that this upper dial is at 12, like a normal clock. And as you can see, there's markings on the side of around each dial. So the first thing I'll do is I want this to be fixed in place. So I'll move this pin up and move the central dial to that. And now those are aligned, so that's that part solved. It's like essentially like solving one part of your cross like this, right? The next step is to solve any other part. And I notice that this part is facing 6. So now I'll move this down. Now I want this to be fixed and these two to be moving together. So I can't use this pin anymore because that wouldn't let this move. So I use this one and now I have those solved. So then I want all these 3 to move together to any one of these. I'm going to start with this because it's simpler. So I push this up and I move it to this. So now these are all aligned. This is effectively something like this on the 3x3. And finally, to finish the cross, I need to align all 3 of these to this. So how would I do that with just one pin? Well, you guessed it. I can't do it with just one pin. I need 2 because now I need to move all 4 of these. So I need both these pins up and now I can align it. And then what we do is we align it to 12. The reason we align it to 12 is because at the end of a clock solve, all your dials need to be facing 12. And 12 is denoted by this double red for this particular clock. It's different for every clock. And so, yeah, now they're all in 12. That's great. So now what I do is I flip it over. There's many ways to flip this. You can do either this, which is effectively a Y2 flip, or you can do this, which is an X2 flip. I'm just going to do the Y2 to keep it simple. So Y2, and now we're here, right? So now that we're here, usually what cubers do is they follow this thing called a pin order. And maybe I shouldn't call it that because I feel like pro clock solvers out there actually follow real orders. What I'm going to, by orders, I mean like an order of solving the clock. That came off very weirdly. But anyway, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to solve this with respect to the top dial first. So the way I would do that is, well, this is muscle memory to me. Technically, you can do it by pushing just one pin up, but I prefer to push both because I'm just used to it. So yeah, it doesn't make a difference. It's going to move this to this, so that's solved. Then I want to solve these with respect to this, so I need to move both of them to that. So I put these pins up and move it to that. Then I want to solve all 3 of these with respect to this. So I put those up and move it there. Then I want to solve all 4 of these with respect to that. So I push this up. By now you must have gotten the idea. So now they're all aligned. Remember this cross is like the second cross. And if I had to compare it to something, I should probably not compare it to anything because you don't really have to. This is effectively like this yellow cross, right? We've solved the original cross and now we're on the other side and solving the other cross. So this is solved. This doesn't have to be solved to 12s because you're going to solve these with respect to these anyway. So now all the edges are done on the entire puzzle. All the edges are done. So that's great. The next step is to solve these with respect to the corners. So very similar to how you would do here, you need to solve everything you need to solve the corners. Of course, on the 3x3, you always have to permute every piece, but in this case, we're not. So yeah, the first thing I would do, can you guess how I would solve everything with respect to this tile? Well, if you've already guessed it, that's great. I just push that pin down so it stops the motion of that dial. Unless I do this, which is just stupid, don't do that. I push that pin down. All of these are up, so I can move any of these 3 gears to align it to that pin. That's done. Then I push this down and this up, so that now this locks this particular pin. I can move them to that. Then push this back up. Then I want to lock this and move all to this. Oops. And now these are all done. Push that back up. Then I want to push this down, lock that, and solve it with respect to that. And remember, to solve the clock, they all have to be at 12, and that's it. So if you turn it around, you will see that everything's at 12. And that's a solved clock, and you can stop your timer. That's great. So with this method, I have got 7-second solves and 8-second solves, which are not essentially that good, but like they're okay for me. I'll take them. So depending on your goals, I would suggest learning different methods. In fact, you should go subscribe to Not Me Cube's channel, because he's really good at the clock, and he probably has a really interesting video coming out soon, or it's already out depending on when you watch this video. Either way, go subscribe to his channel and check him out. And yeah, that's all for this video. So that's how we solve the clock, as I would say, as a beginner to intermediate, not even an intermediate clock solver, just a beginner to intermediate clock solver. That's how we solve the clock. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this video was fun to watch. I realize it's not a tutorial, but it was never meant to be. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more interesting puzzles like this one. Is this even a cube, guys? Comment down below if you think this is a cube, or if it should be banned from